Will Luera, you're kind of a big man on improv around the world.
Pas d'impro. Une discussion avec les artisans du spontané. Juste une discussion, pas d'impro. Idée originale de Frédéric Barbusci, musique Dominique Hamel.
So Will is helping me presenting himself. So please, Will.
Yes, hi, I'm Will Luera, Director of Improvisation at the Florida Studio Theater in Sarasota, Florida.
And improv world guy.
Thank you.
No, but I see you coming here at the Providence Festival, and everybody's saying, "Hey, Will, hell, you're that guy. You're the guy. Hey, I know this guy. He's great. He's fun." And I had the pleasure to play with you last night. Mm-hmm. For some reason that I won't go in, but we shared the stage without even. We didn't met before,
right?
And we shared a stage, and it was pure fun.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity. I know I've thanked you a number of times. I had a lot of fun, and it was such a fun format. I've never done anything like that. I like the dueling DJs with the music, and then letting that inspire the scene. That was great.
And I see that in the improv community that we don't know each other, but we're on the stage together, and then we're partners, and it looks like we're partners since we were 12.
Right.
And let's go right in. And I felt that with you, and I was really glad to experience that.
Thank you.
And but now I really like to know what will you do next? But I'm asking the same questions for my company. Where will I go next? And
right.
What can we go? What do we ignore that can exist?
Yeah.
You know, the things that the little room that we can open and say, oh man, I didn't know that it was there.
Right.
Because I think there is still room to explore.
Yeah, and like for me, the next two spaces that I mean, one is already being explored quite a bit, and that is continuing to push improv to look like theater.
Yeah.
And like theater continues to evolve, and so that is forcing improv to continue to evolve. Yeah. And like I want improvisation, I want it to get to a point where you really cannot tell the difference, where an audience member could see and I would love it to be full sets and costumes, and like I in my ideal world, I would have an improv company where it looks like a theater, it functions like a theater, and even all the technicians are improvisers, the costume designers, the set designers, everybody's an improviser. That would be my big dream. Like I imagine.
Can I go play?
Yeah, I know. Like I imagine like this a play or a show where even like in the middle of the scene you're holding a glass, and then somebody from off stage sees you, and they move very quietly, and then just put the glass on, and then they bring set pieces on, and slowly the world comes to life, right?
That would be great.
So I think that's one space, and the other space is in technology, because I've always been the kind of director that I've been attracted to the rules that should not be broken, and right now we're not supposed to. Technology is not supposed to come in as an audience member. Technology should not come into the theater. You turn off your phones, you turn off everything. You cannot be taken out of that experience. And so I keep thinking, I'm like, how could we break that? How could the phones and everything be a part of the theatrical experience? And I think there's a way to do it, and I've seen groups, and I've directed groups that have already experimented with that.
But something that will push the scene further instead of just making the scene stop, because sometimes it could be just a story on a story. Like you get to you forget what you're playing for because technology gets in the way.
Exactly,
It has to be useful.
Right.
You have to find the sweet spot for putting it in.
And that's it. Yeah. That's all the idea, and like that's what I'm now kind of looking for is like what is that sweet spot where technology does not get in the way, but instead, like to your point, enhances the theatrical experience. And for me, like improv is a great way to explore it. I did a show. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was working with Google when they first came out with the Google glasses.
Okay.
And so we were hired, my group Big Bang was hired to do improv with Google glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And so we performed in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and they loved it because it was, the way that it was working was we were wearing these glasses and the audience would be feeding us suggestions into the glasses, which I thought was really cool.
And did it help you or messed up a little bit of your concentration?
It messed us up, but it showed us the possibility.
Yeah.
Like we all knew, like, okay, this is messy right now. It's not clean. We're having trouble, but we could see how it could be really cool. How the audience could maybe give you some little prompts in the middle of the show. So, like I said, finding that sweet. I'm in the process of finding. I'm still trying to get direction towards the sweet spot.
But it came up a couple of times in my podcast that the fact that letting the audience decide for certain things and in the process or ending a scene or whatever, and I still think that the audience is maybe not the best group of people to decide where we're going.
Right.
You have to still have the liberty to choose what they're feeding you.
I agree.
Yeah. Because sometimes they want to end the scene because they want to solve everything.
Yes.
And we know as creators that solving one thing is not creating a scene.
Yeah.
Creating a scene sometimes is the other way around.
Right.
Like putting someone in a situation that he doesn't want to be in.
Yeah.
So that's I want also that feed from exterior, but sometimes I ask myself, how can we use it so it won't be it will be useful?
Yeah, and you just said a few important words and about creating, and I like to put the audience in a position where they are creating, and where they're creating and not necessarily directing. I think that can be a little. It can be it's a little bit more cautious once they get into that, more like directing the scenes or telling you where to end or cut. But if I give you an opportunity to create with me. And not all the time, like in my shows, it's just very quick little, like, okay, now I'm going to work with the audience, and now we're going to go back and we're going to do our scenes for a little bit.
And by reacting, they are creating.
Exactly, yes.
Because sometimes, I just gave the example in my workshop, that the fact that I say a line and then the audience goes, oh, and I say to myself, oh, I'm the bad guy now. And I didn't know it, but the audience made me realize it because they received it before I received it, and that's co-creating with the audience. That's what I like, just being really not focused, but not focusing on the audience, but really aware of what will be received, and how does it makes me feel, and how do I continue to play with the fact that the audience saw me another way that I saw myself.
I love that you say that, because I don't hear enough teachers, especially and directors, talking about appreciating and listening to the audience, and not listening to the audience when they shout things, but listening to the audience when they respond. Like I've heard teachers even say, like, don't worry about the audience, ignore the audience, right? And like I'm like, no, they're they're the other player, right? They're kind of telling you a little bit of what they want to see.
It's a double-edged sword because sometimes you want to feed the beast, and that's the in Quebec that's our main problem, because with the voting and in the match format, you constantly, even though you don't want to, you're being swept by the moment, and you want to feed the beast. Oh, it works, I want to do this, and I want to shout things out and make people react. And then that's not listening to them, that's creating reactions,
right,
instead of just receiving their reaction. That's it's subtle, but
it is very subtle, but like but like the gasping, I think, example that you gave was a great example of how the audience is always a participant and is always they're in my opinion, and what I tell a lot of my actors, that they're another performer. If you listen to them, they're kind of telling you, they're giving you information.
And you had to experience all kind of audiences. What difference did you see around the world? Because name a few places that you've been everywhere. Every continent?
Not Africa yet, but I will be soon. Like Algeria. But yeah, not Africa yet. So
Asia?
Yeah, I used to do tours in Japan, China, Korea, Hong Kong.
I want to go play in Japan.
Okay.
So, and what are the differences? What is where? If you could go tomorrow, which place would you choose? Not home with your family. I know,
right.
That's the place you want to be. But where would you go play tomorrow?
I thought like the audiences, and it was challenging but also rewarding, was China. And China was it was challenging because there's certain rules about what you could talk about. So that becomes very challenging. And so,
especially for improvisers.
But
don't talk about the mustache. Look at the mustache.
And like they'll tell you at it, they're like, these are the things you should not talk about on stage. I'm like, okay. But at the same time, the audiences felt very hungry. Very receptive.
You played in English?
In English, and that's the thing. Like all of them spoke English. And so I think the communities I want to go back to are the ones that I want to understand more. Because like I talk about Saudi Arabia, that was another one that I really would want to try again. But then there's other communities where I felt like a rock star, and it would be great to go back for that. Like Amsterdam was an amazing experience. London always ends up being an amazing experience. Colombia, Peru, like these are all great communities.
Because you speak Spanish.
I speak Spanish,
So Spanish and English.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Anything else?
That's it. Okay. I would love I'm trying to learn more Portuguese through my wife, and then eventually, hopefully, another language.
Try French.
Yeah, I would love to try French.
But the French usually understand English. Well, no, not all of French, but okay. And what did you see around the world or at home? Stuff that blew your mind, like, oh, this is the good stuff. I need to try this, or just. I would like to do this. I don't think I can do it, but it's interesting, or it can be also really weird, or
like the. I was talking about this the other day with some friends. Like, if I could assemble an improviser, or if I could make myself into the improviser I want to be, I would want to have the verbal wit of a North American performer, the physicality of a European performer, and the facial emotions of a Latin American performer. Like that for me is like, and when I go to those different places, that's like that's what I've learned over time. Like again, like in Latin America, there is some clowning, but it's not as big as what they're doing with their faces. Whereas like in Europe, I feel like I mean, you have a few countries over there that have a clowning history, and I think the audiences are a bit more. Their audiences are a bit more appreciative of big physicality.
But yeah, I know. But I think maybe the fact that you played in English with them.
Yeah.
Usually when they play in their own language, they're more talkative.
They're more talkative, yeah.
And I saw that in Italians. When they play in French, they are really physical.
Yeah.
And then they go right to the words when they speak Italian.
Right.
So maybe the fact that you saw Europeans play in English maybe played.
However, I do think like a common American, I'm not going to include Canada in this one, but a common American symbol of improv, and I think this is very telling of what American improv is, a common symbol is a chair.
Yeah.
Right? And I think for me, that almost represents American improvisation. It's like, let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And like that for me is like, okay, I might see a European performer talk, but they're usually not just sitting and talking. They might be more active. They might be at least standing, and not just like American performers like to sit and talk and go blah 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 blah, off of each other. But yeah, like from all my travels, like that's definitely what I learned. And in Asia, I learned a lot of probably more than any other community that I've worked with. There was a lot of taking on of animals and inanimate objects. Like they really enjoyed like they would become the object, the statue, the animals, right? The bears, the tigers, whatever. They would become those things. And if I were to go even, if I were to look at Saudi Arabia and like that small comedy scene, I think for me, the only thing I could say is because of where they are, the courage of those performers, like some of the stuff they would go into, you're just like, wow. Like even if I was in America, I'd be nervous going into. I mean, they would kind of take on politics a bit more. Yeah,
you talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Like the fact that a group talked about doing ISIS.
They were making fun of ISIS like in Saudi Arabia, and they were making fun of terrorists. They were making fun of politics. And I'm just like, wow, that's courageous. Yeah. So I mean, that is a church.
I really like that. In all of my podcasts, there's always something going on like that, and it's perfect.
It's actually a very beautiful church.
Yeah, Grace Church,
Grace Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's gonna go off a couple times. It's 2 o'clock.
Oh.
There we go. At least it's not like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But yeah, so that was the courage of those performers, and I that's why I love traveling, because I continue to absorb new knowledge from all these different communities, and when I was a younger improviser, I used to think that, and this is very American of me, I used to think like we invented improv and all improv comes from Second City and from blah blah blah.
We think the same thing in Montreal.
Yeah.
And Quebec. But most of us think that we invented improv and it's only the match format that exists.
Okay, right.
So
so what do they do if you show them this other stuff? If you're like,
they're a bit unsettled by the thing that, okay, where's the referee? And then after a few minutes they just go in.
Yeah.
But usually when you say, let's start an improv show, so they say, okay, which team are you? Who's the referee? And what? So the first thing we think is, we'll do a match or a kind of a match or but and now that's my quest of going out and seeing, talking to you, talking to people everywhere around the world, and just trying to expand our borders. And that by coming here at the Providence Festival, it's the first time I'm giving a workshop in the United States and with people that I don't know, and that it's like, I said it in another podcast that we're like kind of the Galapagos Islands of the North America, because we don't know each other. We evolved just on the side, and and now we meet and oh look, another turtle.
It's funny, like how many in all my traveling, how many Galapagos Islands you'll find. You'll find, like, you know, it's like you go to Peru, and in this small town in the middle of Peru, they're doing improv, and they're doing it in a way that they developed it. Right? Hong Kong, you go there and there's a group, and they're kind of doing it in the way they developed it. And so it's really interesting to see that. And like, for the longest time, I'm like, all improv must have come from Second City and Annoyance and I.O. And I'll never forget the first time I traveled internationally. Actually, the second time. The first time was to Toronto, but that's kind of America.
that's the neighbors.
But the second time I went to Puerto Rico, and I remember meeting international improvisers for the first time. And I feel dumb now, but my question was literally, so what style of improv do you guys do? Do you guys do Second City? And they had no idea what I was talking about. They're like, what are these places? And that's when I realized, I'm like, okay, there's improv outside of the U.S. that is that developed separately, developed differently, and there's other masters, and there's other gurus, and there's other books, etc.
In other languages, and there are books in Italian and in Spain and Spanish, and you feel, okay, I don't know those guys, and the fact that we invented the match, and it's now played in Europe, in French improv world. When we go there, we play the match also. So we had, by going away from home, we still got the thing we invented. So I was going there 20 years ago and we played the match, and now I'm going there and they're growing out of it before us.
Wow. Oh wow.
And that's unsettling, because they used to say, oh, Quebecers, they're the best, they invented the show, and now they're just looking at us like, yeah, we did your thing.
Oh no, you guys are the Galapagos Islands.
And I'm embracing that thing. I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad we're growing out of it. But it's so strong in Quebec that it's hard to get out of it. But there's a lot of communities out there. Where's what is the Spanish Del Close or?
I would say, like, there's a guy whose name is Omar Argentino Galvan. He's like the Spanish-speaking guru.
Yeah, and the guy who invented the match is Robert Gravel, and he was the guy we're quoting, and but he died more than 20 years ago.
Does he have a book?
Yeah, but it's a small book, and it's an old book, and it's mostly exercises.
Okay.
So, no, there's not really books in Quebec, in French Canadian. There are books written in the French community, but mostly European.
Yeah.
But, who's the Johnston in South America or in Asia or
right? I know, like in Japan, there's a woman, Yuri, who's a very well respected Japanese teacher, and I just connected her for a gig in Colombia. So she went to Colombia in South America, and then Omar Argentino Galvan, and there's another guy, Gigio Giraldo, and he's a guy from Colombia. And all these guys are the ones that are prophesizing and pushing the gospel out and everywhere.
We should do a pool, like, making like a football make-believe league.
Yeah, fantasy
league,
league.
With all the improv gurus. Just, Will, you're coming up. You're the next guru. No, I find it funny because we get the teachings, but we have also we have to allow ourselves to grow out of it and just experience for ourselves and process it in another way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And is there a format that you have encountered that you said, "Oh, that's interesting"?
I think the most intriguing group that I've seen internationally, there's a group called Impro Madrid out of Madrid, Spain, and they They do. I don't even know if it's a format as much as they have a style of improvising which is very intriguing in that they rehearse their shows like it's a play. They will rehearse. They will do that much time, hours and hours, and they'll really study what they're doing. And then it's like full. And when you do their shows, well, they costumes and everything. Yeah.
So, but they have characters that they prepare?
Yeah, so they prepare characters and then they improvise with those characters.
I thought doing that. I wanted to try this. Let's work our characters. Let's work the set and things, and then each night there's a new story with the same characters, and just like maybe not a sitcom, but you have your little world that you play on and on and on.
Yeah, and it's like every few years I'll see a group really challenge the art form in that way, and I'm intrigued and interested. There used to be a group out of LA that there was a theater called the Hot House, and they had a show where the actors were dressed up as ghosts, like really like beautifully dressed. Not sheets,
white sheets.
not white sheets, but like in like all white clothing, but like very beautiful and elegant, and like canes and hats and all this, and they were ghosts, and the whole show was basically them revisiting when they were alive, but they were the ghosts revisiting. So it's like stuff like that I'm like, that's really intriguing.
I like people going elsewhere. Like we're used to say, let's do improv, 2 chairs and a black background and go.
Right.
And now why not try costumes or set? We're working on a set thing, or I don't know. What can we explore in that sense? That if we wanted to make it look like theater, not make it look, but do it as theater. Can we put the same time working on it as theater?
Yeah, and I think we should, and I think improvisers should. Going back to your first question, what is my next goal? I think that is it.
Will you do it?
Yes, I am. I want to. But it's like get improv actors to start to take it as seriously.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the next step for the art form. Because I think right now we're still stuck in this place where it still feels casual.
Yeah, man.
Even for the people who take it seriously, it still feels casual. But maybe the next step is like, all right, will you treat it like theater? Well,
in France, they're starting with Thomas Debré at Lyon, who started the Providence, the first improv theater in France. They receive new formats and they treat it like we're doing theater based on improv.
Yeah,
and that's what we're showing here. Well, sometimes there are kind of wrestling match, wrestling improv, or things that are more common. But there, I really feel that there are in Belgium also really experiencing the thing and going all in the. We're not a comedy sidebar anymore.
Yeah, right.
We are theater, and we do it this way. And I think that in the States and in Canada also, that maybe I don't really know the era, but the fact that the format was so powerful that we have difficulty growing out of it.
Yeah, right.
So, but do you see it coming here in the States? We talked about it yesterday, growing out of the 25 minutes format. Just go longer, or if you feel it. Or
I do.
Is there places in the States that you feel that they're growing up that
there's
shell?
one theater that I think of. I mean, there's a lot of theaters that kind of will play with that. The one theater that comes to mind is Impro theater, and they say it the way that
sounds but we say Impro aussi.
Yeah, so they say that. Oh, and because they're also the founder came out of Johnstone.
Okay,
he was trained by Johnstone, and so the name of the theater is Impro theater. and they do shows that are almost like 90 minutes and stuff like that. And they do, when I talk about improvised theater, they do improvised theater. Like they will do improvised Tennessee Williams and like stuff like that, improvised Twilight Zone, improvised Chekhov, and stuff like that. They really dig into it, and they do long shows. And so right now, those ideas are on the fringe of, I think, all of it. But I think that's changing. The reason why is because and I think you and I talked about this as well, I'm not a big fan of pay to play. Like, I don't think people should pay to perform. Yeah. And I feel like that's happening right now a lot in improv schools where students, you have to put in so many dollars and teach in classes before you can perform. Yeah. Right? And I'm like, that's... And right now, all of the theaters support that model. The reason why shows are 20 to 25 minutes is so that you could have 3 student shows so that your students are performing and taking classes, right? And I think personally, I'm like, put that on one night, but the rest of the night should be nice, full shows.
It's funny you say that because we started this.
No, you guys invented it?
No. No, in Montreal, everybody, you can play. There's a lot of places to play.
Yeah.
You play free for since you're 12 to your 30s.
Yeah.
But with our company, we started a thing called the dojo. Yeah. Where students can come play with us for 45 minutes. They have to pay a little fee. Yeah. But I think we have to give them the we play with them. We So it's just come and play with experienced people, and we have the chance to play with fresh new people and just share with each other. But that's because we just we make them pay a little bit because we need to live on. But
my theater too, like you our students will pay and then they get a graduation show, they get to perform. But my fear is...
But then... Oh, sorry.
No, like my fear becomes when a theater...
to hold on to that.
Yeah, like I've seen theaters where most of the money comes from the students instead of from the tickets. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, now we're getting into something where...
No, because you have to encourage them to go their own way afterwards.
Exactly.
Go create something. Go do it. Now, I taught you what I could. Yeah. Now leave. Yeah. Let me be. But no, that's maybe the thing that's missing. Yeah. Just go do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think once that starts to balance itself out, and we're not trying to squeeze all these 25-minute shows into one slot. I think it's going to slowly start to change, where we start to appreciate and respect like nice longer formats. But part of it is not just the theaters changing, but also the audiences. American audiences, I think, need to get trained to also appreciate longer shows.
But we should just go. Maybe it's because we're playing all in the same spots. If you go in a theater, play your show. Yeah. Maybe the people going there will be okay. I'm up to it. Instead of bringing, there's a bee, wasp.
No, it wasn't a wasp. I think it was a fly. Was it a bee?
I think so.
Okay, it might have been a bee, but I don't think it was a wasp.
No, but why don't we take the theaters and just say, okay, we'll play here for 3 weeks, and then you keep on playing the plays you're used to. Yeah. And maybe that will change the mind of people.
Agreed. No, there's no bumblebee.
Okay.
That's a good idea. And like the whole idea of training the audience. Like theater shows, scripted theater shows are getting shorter now. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. They're down to they're trying to get them into 90 minutes now. Yeah. So, I mean, it's entertainment is changing, right? But I do think that there's room for improv to get longer.
Is entertainment getting Amazoned?
Wow. Yeah, it might be. Like the immediate satisfaction, right? Yeah. Like people want to be satisfied immediately, and
Man,
Yeah, that's
that's bleak.
yeah. I mean, who knows how that's gonna. I'm interested to see how that's gonna change improv as well. Like I have seen theater groups, and I think this was in Europe. I ran into a theater group that did 30-minute shows, but that's it. Like it wasn't like 3 groups, but it was just one 30-minute show. And they would do them like once an hour, because it was like they would go
cool.
like 7 to 7:30, then a break, 8 to 8:30 break,
Cool.
and each one was like €5. You know,
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's a different model.
And you can go see both 3 of them
If you wanted
in
to,
a
yeah.
night, yeah.
And like what they were trying to do, and I thought it was very smart, is they were trying to hit like the dinner crowds. It's like, hey, let's go watch a quick show right before dinner, and I actually thought it was smart. I'm like, you're right, like, you know, get a quick drink before dinner, and they would also hit the after dinner. Like we just saw, we just had dinner.
Yeah.
Let's go watch a 30-minute show.
Cool.
So, anyways, now you know there's a lot of variations on this. I hope that American improv continues to move towards the appreciation of longer shows, because I think we don't do that enough here, and I think giving that more space would be great.
Yeah. Well, let's keep on doing this.
I agree. I agree.
And yeah, there are so many things that we did not see or do, and we have to explore.
Yeah,
So-
I mean that's our jobs.
And just playing with somebody I just met,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing I want to do.
That was exciting when you sent me the message. I was like, I felt bad for your friend, but I was like, all right, let's do this. And it's exciting as an improv artist, and you know, it's nice to be able to trust each other at that point.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, we're about to do something. We're gonna do a quick clapping warm up, and then we're gonna we're gonna jump on stage. And I thought it was a lot of fun.
Me too. So, anything to add?
Oh no! I mean, I hope our paths cross again. If not in the United States, I hope Canada.
I wanted to do my conclusion on that.
Okay.
I wanted to cross path again and play with you again, and see you. Know that you're still playing through your elder years.
Yes,
I don't know, for many years to come.
I hope so.
I hope that we get back in 5 years,
Definitely.
talk about it again on the podcast, and see what we've done in those 5 years.
Yeah, we'll talk about technology and improv. And
And cyborg.
improvising with robots and stuff.
Thanks, Will.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
Pas d'impro est une présentation des productions de l'Instable, une compagnie de création dont la mission est de présenter des spectacles de théâtre improvisé et de réfléchir sur la création spontanée. Pour plus d'informations sur nos spectacles en salle, nos formations et notre direction artistique, rendez-vous au www.productiondelinstable.com.